I never expected trouble when my best friend invited me to his family's outpost beyond the colony walls. But that was before I met her, his sister. An alien girl with eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies, a voice like silk over steel, and a presence that made the air heavier when she entered the room. She kept her distance at first, all sharp glances and clipped words, but one evening everything changed. Without warning, she crossed the room, sat down on my lap, and whispered a reason that made my heart stop, and from that moment, nothing between us would ever be the same. I never thought visiting my best friend's family home on the alien colony would change anything. To me, it was just a weekend away from the noise of the human quarter, a chance to laugh, eat, and trade stories with my closest companion. His clan lived in a large stone-built dwelling, laid with fabrics and glowing crystals that pulsed with soft light. The house was warm, the air scented with strange flowers that climbed the outer walls. But from the first night I stepped inside, I knew there was one presence that made everything far more complicated: his sister. She was nothing like him. While my best friend was easygoing and talkative, his sister was sharp, bold, and carried herself like someone who had never once doubted her worth. Her eyes were a shade of silver that caught the lamplight and held it, and her dark flowing hair always seemed in motion, like the air itself leaned toward her. Every time she entered the room, I felt myself sit a little straighter, even when she pretended I didn't exist. The first few days were filled with small gatherings, dinners, firelight stories, even a late-night walk outside the colony walls where glowing insects lit the sky. My friend often teased me about how quiet I became when his sister was nearby. I laughed it off, but inside I couldn't shake the strange current that passed between us, even in silence. It was the fourth night when everything changed. The family had finished their evening meal. My best friend retired early after too much spiced drink, and the rest drifted away. I stayed in the wide sitting room, resting on the long cushioned bench that served as a sofa. The fire pit glowed low, filling the space with a reddish warmth. I thought I was alone, until I heard her footsteps. She entered without hesitation, her long robe flowing around her legs, the fabric a deep shade of violet. She didn't speak at first, just looked at me with an unreadable expression. I opened my mouth to offer a polite greeting, but before I could, she walked across the room, stopped right in front of me, and sat down. Not on the cushion beside me, on my lap. My entire body went rigid. My hands, which had been resting on my knees, curled awkwardly at my sides. Her weight settled against me, warm, solid, and deliberate. My heart pounded so loud I was sure she could hear it. What are you doing?" I managed, my voice hoarse. She tilted her head, her silver eyes gleaming. "You do not know?" she asked softly, almost teasing. I shook my head, completely at a loss. She leaned in, close enough that I could feel her breath against my cheek. "Among my people, this is not casual," she whispered. "To sit on one's lap is to give them claim to your trust and to your heart." Her words struck me harder than any blade. My best friend's sister, on my lap, telling me this? Guilt and confusion battled in my chest. "But, your brother, he's my friend. This can't be." Her fingers pressed lightly against my lips, silencing me. "My brother values loyalty. But loyalty does not mean blindness. He does not own my choice. And you," her voice faltered for the first time, her confidence cracking just slightly. "You are not like the others. You look at me, not as a prize or as a danger, but as if I am someone worth understanding." My throat tightened. She was so close I could smell the faint floral scent of her hair, see the tiny flecks of darker gray in her silver eyes. Every instinct told me to push her away for the sake of friendship, but my heart betrayed me, pounding harder with every second she stayed on my lap. I swallowed hard. "Do you realize what you're saying? If your brother knew—" "He will know," she interrupted. "Not tonight, perhaps. But soon. He deserves honesty." But I could not carry this inside me any longer. Her hand brushed against mine, hesitantly at first, then more firmly until her fingers laced with mine. The heat of her touch sent sparks racing through me. My chest ached with the weight of the decision pressing down. The silence stretched, broken only by the crackling fire. Her gaze never wavered. Finally, she whispered, "Tell me, human, do you feel nothing? Or do you fear too much to speak?" I closed my eyes, struggling against the tide inside me. Images of my friend's laughter, of his trust, of all the years we had stood side by side, clashed with the raw truth that I could not deny. I felt something powerful for her. Something that grew every time I saw her. Something that now burned like a living flame with her body so close to mine. When I opened my eyes, she was still there, waiting, her face inches from mine. I exhaled slowly. I feel it, I admitted. My voice cracked with the weight of it, but I don't know if I have the right. Her lips curved into the faintest smile, not triumph, but relief. That is why you do. Because you question, because you think of honor before desire. That is why, it is you. She leaned closer until her forehead rested gently against mine. The world seemed to narrow to that single point of contact, the heat of her body against me, the steady rhythm of her breath mixing with mine. I didn't kiss her. She didn't ask for it. The intimacy of that touch alone was more powerful than anything else could have been. Time slipped by unnoticed. Eventually she rose from my lap, slowly, as if reluctant to break the moment. She stood tall, her robe cascading around her, and looked down at me with something soft and unguarded in her eyes. "This will not be easy," she said. "My brother must know. But I would rather risk his anger than lose the truth we shared tonight." I sat in silence, heart still racing, knowing that the next day might shatter the bond between me and my friend. But I also knew one thing with absolute clarity. She had trusted me with her heart, and that trust was something I could never betray. The fire burned low, shadows dancing across the stone walls. She turned to leave, pausing only once at the doorway. "Fragile, they call humans," she murmured. "But in this moment, I have never felt more fragile than I do with you." And then she was gone, leaving me breathless and shaken, my life forever altered by the weight of her choice. Whether tragedy or hope, the truth was clear. Humanity's strength wasn't in unbreakable skin or endless power. It was in the courage to feel, to doubt, to love even when it risked everything. And for the first time, an alien heart had chosen to see that strength in me.